I am Sabi Jaiswal, and I'm glad to have you join us for the session today that makes you think about the health of your teams in a whole new light. We often talk about the tools, the process, the technologies, but what about the people? And our teams are truly healthy? And to deep dive this, we have Nithin with us from Head of QA from Lodgify joining us today. Nithin brings nearly a decade of experience in test automation and quality assurance. And today, he is tackling the tough question: are we unintentionally creating hero culture that lead to burnout and knowledge silos? How can we shift the focus from individual heroic to building a resilient and high performing teams? This talk is packed with actionable strategies, insights that will help you evaluate the health of your team and build a culture where everyone thrives. So, buckle up. Nitin is about to deliver some game changing insights. Nitin, you ready?
Yes, Saibi, thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I'm excited.
Great.
Let me share my screen quickly. How is everyone doing? Great. Are you able to see? Perfect. So, hello everyone. I'm so excited to be here today to talk to you all about health and some prescriptions. One would assume the more we practice, we get better with the outcomes, right? Nope. Our expertise translate to outcomes exponentially when we are familiar with the teammates, team practices, processes, structures, etc. They may all seem small, but it has got way more to do in making us good at our job. So teams are important. The way we interact, the way we communicate, support, and trust each other plays a huge role in making our workplace healthy. Our practice, growth, and bonding within our organization is crucial for our success. And that is why I'm here today to talk about the power of teams and how to keep them healthy. To build and maintain great products now and in the future, we need to work smarter. And to do this, we need to build and maintain team health. So I started out in this industry as a self-taught tester. Few years in, I tried out managing a team for the first time. A little bit later, I became an engineering manager for QA. And as it is mentioned, I'm currently working as head of QA at Lodgify, leading a talented bunch of people. So throughout this journey, I have had the privilege of working alongside a variety of teams, teams of 2, 10, 20, and teams of 200. And I can attest the fact that teams are amazing. And throughout this journey, I have also seen variety of ways that teams could interact with each other, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I think we all can agree that coming together as a group of humans and shipping something amazing is the most magical thing we could do. A team is something that is formed from a group of strangers to a unified group with a common goal. So, what does healthy team means to you? So, healthy team is a happy team in which your people are feeling engaged, they are feeling satisfied, they are motivated, they are excited about what is coming next, and they go always an extra mile to deliver something more. And they care about what they are contributing towards. Healthy teams are also able to bounce back from challenges and also they sustain higher performance throughout. They are focused on a greater purpose, and that is what makes them healthy team. These are the characteristics we could see on a healthy team. So they trust each other and they are able to predict what each other will do. They work together to accomplish a common mission. They execute tasks fastly and quickly. They meet and exceed the standards most of the time. They adapt to demanding challenges and they learn from their experiences all the time. And failure is never a worry for them. So they try and learn from their failures also. And they develop pride in all their accomplishments. Do you wonder whether your team is as healthy as possible? So in order to evaluate, these are the signs of a healthy team. So they focus on delivering on their commitments, and they care about how these commitments lead to a desired change. And they learn how to deliver faster, even with lesser energy and with a fewer resource. And they basically trust each other. So these all individuals have a connection and they have a confidence in each other's competence. According to Patrick Lencioni, there are 5 dysfunctions of a team, and everything starts from trust. Without trust, team members hesitate to be vulnerable, sharing information, or seeking help from one another. And the next comes fear of conflict. When conflict goes unaddressed, it leads to unresolved issues and simmering tensions. So people start to avoid challenging conversations between each other, and it can lead to lack of accountability and commitment towards a shared goal. And then comes lack of commitment. Without a shared sense of purpose and commitment towards shared goals, teams flounder in indecision and mediocrity. And what happens is individuals may prioritize their own interest over contributing towards team's collective success, which is really bad. And then it is avoidance of accountability. So without accountability, there is a void of ownership and commitment, resulting in a culture of finger pointing and excuses that leads to a blame culture in the organization. And it stifles teamwork and collaboration, and it also demotivates the team to work effectively. And when it comes to inattention to results, everything starts from trust, as we already see. So trust issues lead to a fear of conflict because they don't trust each other, and which that leads to a lack of commitment and eventually avoidance of accountability. So each of these dysfunctions compound to the previous one, resulting in a team that is incapable of achieving results. So how can I identify my team is dysfunctional, right? So teams do not go dysfunctional overnight. It is a slow process, and most of the times we fail to notice that this slow process is happening with our teams. So the people stop listening to one another and they become rotated into their own positions. They start to create subgroups, and these subgroups converge into having meetings one after the another, and they tend to ignore talking to each other instead of like outside the subgroups. And team members shrink their commitments and they start to make excuses. People withhold bad news until it becomes hard for us to fix anything about. And everyone avoids conflicts. And when they try to avoid conflicts, they leave the important concerns unspoken. Individuals descend into persons, and which is counterproductive, and which creates a counterproductive conflict. So how can we fix dysfunctional teams? Like we saw earlier, everything starts from trust, and we need to start fixing from there. When it comes to developing trust, a leader needs to demonstrate that it is safe to be vulnerable within the team. Showing vulnerability encourages others to do same and develops a trust. And without trust, people won't voice their opinions. Trust me. And there is a fear of conflict. So always make sure all the team members have a say. Healthy conflict is constructive. When people agree or avoid committing because they fear it would create a conflict, the result is stifled productivity. It is important to remember that conflict is okay. It's how you deal with conflict that builds strength within the team. And then there is a lack of commitment. So communicate what clearly you expect to your teams. Have discussions with them. Have a solid plan, clear, and make sure the decision making process is clear and transparent to the team. And then the team will start supporting and making the commitments. And when they had a say for the decision making process, it will be easy for getting the buy-ins from the team. And avoidance of accountability, in order to tackle that, start having uncomfortable conversations. So the best and most high performing teams possess individuals who hold one another accountable. And we need to confront those difficult issues, knowing that we build a healthy team with a foundation of trust, commitment, and clarity. Holding each other accountable will help everyone and the overall good of the team. And when they are not sure or they are not paying attention towards results, talk to them about the goals and give them a focus. You need to be clear about the collective team goals and the importance of achieving team results. Make sure you talk or you over communicate the team goals and you measure them actively, and also acknowledge and celebrate the moments of your team's accomplishments. It is found out from research and studies that in the modern workplace, there is 6 core needs that humans need to secure to feel safe and healthy at work. Learning about people's core needs at work dramatically shifted my perception towards management and influenced my style and approach towards leading teams. Now I can better understand why a teammate is strongly reacting to something which I don't feel as a big deal. The first core need of a modern human is huge. It is a need to belong to a group, a community, a team, a tribe, etc. So when this core need is threatened, it's natural that they get threatened, and it's not a small thing to have. So let's imagine situations like you are left out from an invite for a meeting, or the team goes out for lunch without even saying that you need to be joining as well. So you are leaving out, you feel like you are left out, and then it creates a threatening moment that you don't feel like belonging to the team. And the next one is the core need of feeling sense of improvement or a progress towards a goal. Let's say you have a milestone, you have an objective for yourself or your team. When it is visible for you and you see progress towards accomplishing them, the core needs becomes happy. It means it is more fulfilling. If the work that they do doesn't seem to fit on a larger goal, many people get frustrated. And the third one is choice. We all want to have some level of choice, and we don't want to be told all the ways to do our works and when to make decisions and how to make decisions. And we actually need some kind of balance in making choices. So too much choice and too little choice is not ideal as well. And the fourth one is equality and fairness. So we all want to believe that everybody has access to do their best work, equal access to all the resources, all the documentations, all the information and everything. And we all know when humans perceive a lack of fairness, we will literally take to the streets. And it happens to me one time when I was randomly sharing a admin access to one of the team members. The other team members started questioning me why it is special with that specific person because you only granted admin access to that one person. So they want equality and fairness in most of the things. So then comes predictability. So if every moment was 100% full of surprises, what would it feel like? Is it exciting? Is it scary? Or is it both? Just like in choice, we need to have a balance in predictability as well. So too much of predictability, we will get de-energized and we will feel bored, like the same way we do regressions all the time. So we will feel bored because we know what is coming for a regression cycle, right? And too little can be very, very stressful. Like in startups, when there is so much constant changes, you cannot predict what's happening in the next moment. And the last and the final one is significance, and it effectively reflects status. Where are we in the hierarchy? So if we get demoted, or if someone else who is equal to us is being promoted, and we don't get promoted, we will feel something about that. We want to understand how we are being assessed and why we didn't get promoted. So it purely refers to the status and where we fit into the ladder. So these 6 core needs make up the acronym BICEPS. Paloma Medina, who is an organizational coach, crafted this acronym to help us to have a handy way to remembering what we humans need at work. So now I want you to think of the last time when you were frustrated, which of these core needs might have been threatened for you? Think about it. Put it in the comments and start showing vulnerability straight from now onwards. It might also be a combination, and not all these qualities have equally like are equally important for everyone. It may vary from individual to individual. And for me, if you ask, like significance plays a huge role, and it's the core need that I always look for. And it could be belonging for you. It could be choice for you. So it varies from individual to individual. So knowing and addressing the core needs is a shortcut to making others feel understood and valued. There is an old cliche that there is no I in the team. Well, I'm here to tell you that there is always a you in the team. And you play a huge role, and you are the big secret to improve your team's health. And these are the 5 things you can do. So you got to start with a positive assumption. And we don't usually do that. So think of getting an email from someone you don't like or you don't respect. You get all on a defensive mode so easily, and you don't want to send a reply for that email. And ironically, think about the situation like it's the same email coming from a person you admire or you like. You probably could have a good value out of it. So you need to start with a positive assumption, and you need to add your full value. We all show up in that way on our first day at work, but somehow over the time we just give up. We take our foot off, and you can't do that. And you also can't just leave by the words on your job description. You got to add more than your technical value. You got to bring all of yourself, your past experience, your knowledge, maybe even your personality, your style. You got to amplify others' voice. So teams get thrown together for all sort of reasons, right? What tends to happen is you end up with a majority, or you end up with a minority, and those minority voice tends to get drowned out. You can't let that happen. You got to lend them your credibility, your voice, maybe even your spotlight on the agenda. So you need to make sure each one of your team like you are helping each one of your team to amplify their voice. And you got to know when to say no. From the time we were little, we learned a good team player says always yes to everything that comes their way. But sometimes it's not the case. There is too many priorities and too little alignments in our modern teams. So you got to figure out when to say no. And the last one, probably the hardest one, you got to embrace productive conflict. I know conflict, when it's personal or has an agenda, it feels terrible. But conflicts that is focused on true business value, that's what drives innovation, and that's what helps us to manage risk. So conflict is absolutely essential to a healthy team. And so you got to embrace productive conflict. So in the essence, there are 3 qualities that complement and reinforce each other to build high performing and cohesive teams. So humble team members create a culture of trust, which allows the hungry team members to thrive and achieve their goals. And smart team members ensure that the interpersonal relationships remain healthy and that conflicts are managed constructively. So these qualities will help to create an environment where teams can work cohesively, innovatively, and deliver exceptional results. So when individuals possess them, they are more likely to work well together and drive success and adapt to the ever-changing demands of the team and workplace. Like what Patrick Lencioni says, great teams do not hold back from one another. They admit their mistakes, their weakness, and their concerns without a fear of reprisal. And we already saw that the key factor that separates a high performing team and which is the foundation of everything is trust. What exactly is trust? If our success relies on trust, it is crucial to establish it quickly and ensure we do nothing to undermine it. And to build a healthy team, we need to build both these types of trust. So cognitive trust, which starts from your head, and affective trust, which starts from your heart. And make some small tweaks to accelerate the authentic trust in your teams. So be vulnerable. You become your team's role model. Show your teams how you want them to engage in the activities. Be personal. You start showing up more, right? Instead of just sending an email, maybe schedule a 15-minute call with the team to go over the list of items they are looking into. Be explicit all the time, because trust is a contract, and contracts are best written for the mutual benefit and understanding of both parties. It's not the one-sided trust, right? So you always agree on what, when, and how you expect your team members to approach or deliver some expectations. And if you make a mistake, you must decide clearly and act swiftly. Make sure to hire the right people that fit into the current team spirit. Work is hard, and try to be consistent. Always keep your promises to your teams, and you need to be receptive. You want your field to feel more comfortable, and in order to make them feel comfortable, you need to be receptive as well. So everything relies on having an awareness of what it is like for people to be on the other side of you. It's not on the same side as you, right? So with all these, you know how a healthy team would look like. And if you feel your team isn't healthy, then you may think, how do I change this? How do we become agents of health, or be the antibodies that bring health and vitality for our team members? So there are 5 basic ways that Enneagram will cultivate health on your teams. The Enneagram impacts the presence of a leader. It helps to celebrate individual differences. It enhances communication and collaboration between the team members. It gives tools for resolving conflicts easily. It also helps us to develop empathy and compassion. So when we are secure, they will be like spontaneous, trusting, balanced, grounded, focused, etc., etc., etc. And here are some inspiration based on the common challenges I encountered, and it could be handy for you as well. So my team is not improving fast enough. What can we do, right? Have a culture of having daily feedback. Feedback doesn't have to be critical. Calling out the winning behaviors you want or you expect repeatedly, that counts too. If this is initially uncomfortable for you to try, start with the question. Ask the question to the team that, did this meet your expectations, or what are you expecting at this point of time? So your people can often be their biggest critics, and you need to be ready to become their coach by understanding what is stopping them to perform at their best. My team delivers low quality work. I firmly believe that everyone needs to see a number, or everyone needs to know about a number, and they need to see progression towards that, achieving that number. So this helps them to connect to the mission and know if they are winning or not. If they have a number and they are aiming for something to achieve, they will try to focus on delivering good results. My team is constantly missing deadlines. So what I tried in the past is to have something called shorts. On Monday morning, I asked them to send over 3 to 5 bullets on what they will accomplish for the week. And on the Friday evening, I asked them to send a hit or miss on those bullets. And if they miss something, I asked for a brief explanation of why they missed it. So writing out their commitments will force them to visualize what they want to accomplish, and knowing they will need to grade themselves at the end of the week actually creates a personal accountability. And let's say my team is having a low morale. What I used to do was ask them to send notes with at least one entry of each of the headings. So for Brax, like, let me know the team's accomplishment for the past week. What were the perceived risk for the team? What were the spotted opportunities for the team? What are you guys thinking as a next focus we could have? So this hits morale by celebrating the team and also creating far more transparency between each of the team members. My team is always overwhelmed. When your team constantly puts out fires, finding the space to prevent them can be hard. What if you devoted one day a month to precisely do that and call it as a monthly clean out session, right? So it's fairly straightforward. Keep an inventory of all the problems you need to solve. Spend an hour prioritizing the list with everyone in your team. Free up everyone and ask them to grab one and fix the problem. So not only will this create a capacity, it also removes the perception that you never truly solved problems or you never listen to the team's problems. So we are collectively solving problems. My team is not engaged. What can we do, right? So we started to create like Pulse, engineering Pulse surveys, and a close cousin of motivation is engagement. And a disengaged team is ticking time bomb. If you don't fix it fast, your best people will flee out soon. So one habit that helped me proactively uncover issues was building an engagement heat map from a regular employee Pulse survey. You may have to start making it anonymous, but if your team sees that you are taking actionable outcomes out of their feedback, they will become more comfortable. And in the end, you can start collecting names for the feedbacks. So then you will have an enlisted army of problem solvers, and that's the habit we all can aspire for. My team is always confused about priorities. So consistency drives change. I read from a blog recently that a CEO mentioned that just about the time I'm exhausted from repeating myself is right around the first time the team members hears me. So it means, especially in the turbulent times, you need to make them aware of the changes and they need to be constantly involved and they need to see what's going on. So if you are not sharing anything, they will be always confused about the priorities and they don't understand why we switch priorities. So having a weekly wrap up to go over the prioritization changes or new priorities would be highly helpful to keep the team healthy and engaged. My team can't keep skills current. So it's the common challenge we all might face in all our teams. So the best way to learn something is to teach others. Rotate responsibility of having a like a monthly lunch and learn session within your team, or you can even do like a bi-weekly catch up with your team when where other team members are sharing their knowledge with the rest of the team members. And by doing this, you will keep skills current while clearly signaling the value of doing so. And make sure to remember that you avoid these healthy teammates. Don't mistake high performance for health. Don't sacrifice your health for high performance. Beware of perk masquerading as a culture. So the question is, how do I motivate? The question is not, how do I motivate and keep my teams healthy? The question is actually, how do I avoid demotivating them? So throughout the process of keeping your teams healthy, please take care of yourself. It's not an easy journey. And do what you need to do to distance yourself from an unhealthy team dynamic. So especially when things are deeply affecting you in a way that it doesn't seem to be improving, you just try to keep a distance from that unhealthy team dynamic. So everything I walk through will help in some team unhealthy situations, but it's not a cure for a toxic work environment and it's not a prescription. So if you are not sure of what to do, talk to someone who you trust and share about what you tried in your teams and what you need to have in your teams. With that said, thank you so much for listening to me. And I hope that this session helped you feel more occupied to navigate whatever you are facing when you get back to your work to help you and your team succeed. It's been a pleasure. Thanks to everyone in Lambda Test, and thanks to you all for listening to me. I'm here to answer your questions. Thank you.
It was a phenomenal session, honestly, Nitin. Really
Thank you.
interesting. Yeah, so let's pick up some questions. Okay, this is from Mukesh. So, how do you ensure that communication and collaboration within teams are effectively healthy?
Let's say like the ones I told you, right? So we could have a bi-weekly sync up or a weekly sync up with the team members and make sure all of their concerns are heard. And maybe during doing a retrospective session to understand, like by keeping the retrospective sessions anonymous at the first, and understand their feelings basically, right? And when you collect their feedback, you know what you need to fix for communication, and if there is a collaboration issue, you will also find out that. And during your one-on-ones, you can actually start to ask how they communicate with each other in the teams, and how they make healthy collaboration, and how is the progress and involvement happens between the team. And you will start to get like small cues here and there from the team members, that whether they are effective and whether they are healthy or not, and start making like smaller actions to improve that.
Indeed. I believe communication is the key to all the problems.
It is.
I'll just pick another question now. Wait. This is from Advika. How can you assess whether your team is equipped with the right skill and resources to be successful? Indeed, this is a good question.
Yes. So what I try to do in my previous organization and the current one is, we need to have a competency map on based on the skills and competencies you expect from each of the team members. And I always start with asking them to do a self-reflection on themselves against those competencies and skills. And once they have the self-reflection, we actually catch up on a session. We go over them all together and we try to identify the gaps if there are any. So if there is any gaps, we make sure there is enough learning paths for them to grow and achieve those skills. Or it could be something like creating a learning path in Udemy, or having a access for Trived in Test Tribe, or Ministry of Testing Success. So that's what we have in our organization, to have like a proper learning path for all the team members based on the skills and competencies we expect from each of the levels. And also your peers are your best resources, right? So each of your team members will be strong at something and they will be weak at something. So exchange what you are strong at, and also help each other out. So that will be the best support you can give for your team members.
Good. Yeah, true. Like, obviously, nobody's perfect. It's just the team that makes us fun.
Exactly. I'm perfect because of my team. Yes.
Yeah, true. I'll pick another question now. Wait. Um, this is from Vikash, and I think we've answered this. I'll pick up another. Wait. So this is a good question by Bharat. How can organization address the issues of high turnover in QA roles while maintaining a strong team dynamic and continuity?
It's a good and tricky one. So QA roles, like, it's something like we need to keep the people always motivated and bring in more challenges to grow and succeed, right? And always it goes back to the core values we saw earlier. So they need to have like, they are making progression towards something. So always they need to see there is a progression or an improvement on themselves. And if we are making that feeling or the core belief is satisfied or fulfilled, there will be a high turnover in bringing like a strong team dynamics and having continuity in the team members. So you need to always make sure the team members have the right tools or skills, and that makes them feel they are always progressing towards a goal, and that contributes to the companies or the organizations or the teams direct outcomes. When you correlate with outcomes, it makes them feel like more accomplished, and they will stay, and more people will come in and join your team.
Yeah, true. So even I like this question. This is from Vijo, and I think you're the perfect
Mhm.
person to answer this. What are some practical tips for leaders to better focus on team dynamics and individual development beyond just the application they manage?
For the leaders, I would say there are few resources, because you need to understand how brains work and how humans work, right? So you being a leader, you are always having a direct access to people's emotions, and also you are helping them to grow. You become their coach, you become their mentor, so they expect, or they always look up to you, and you play a huge role in helping them out, right? So having some knowledge on emotional intelligence and also situational leadership, because each of the leaders have different styles, like leadership styles. So someone will be delegating, someone will be coaching, someone will be micromanaging, someone will be doing something else. So there are a set of different leadership traits you have, but being a leader, it has to be agile and fluid. You need to be able to switch between each leadership traits to one another, right? Based on the situations you are at. And when you manage or when you become agile to transition towards each stages, that makes you a perfect situational leader. And that brings better team dynamics, and you are able to help them to go beyond all the time.
Indeed, I truly agree with that. Okay, this is a good question though. Um, how can we best avoid burnout as QA? Great question.
It's not only QAs, everyone goes through burnout. So my best advice would be, know when to say no. So there will be too many things that comes your way, and there will be too many skills that will always push you to learn something new, and all, right? So you need to focus on the right thing that matters for you at the right moment and say no to everything else. So clearing that backlog of things from out of your head, it will help you to avoid burnout, basically.
True, prioritizing, I feel it's very important in this new age.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even this is a good question though. Wait, how can gamifying or rewarding completion of positive steps to be used to create incentives towards healthier outcomes?
It's a great thing to have. So we used to have something called a Walls of Wonder. We celebrate each other's, like if one team member helps someone, so every week we ask them to put our things in as a sticky note in Walls of Wonder. Before COVID time when we are physically in the office. So after COVID, everything changed. We started to have a same Miro board with the similar concept, but we celebrate each other's support and help. And eventually, the person who gets most amount of kudos or appreciations will be rewarded with something by the end of the year. So that was a tradition we kept in the team, and it was very much motivating for all of them because they always strive to get into the wall of wonder, and they always wanted to help each other to get that something special by the end of the year. So gamifying always helps, and it plays a huge positive role in making sure your team members are acknowledged and you also celebrate their victories and success.
I think this was a big challenge in COVID times, I truly believe, but it's great how we have gone over it.
Yes.
Okay. So I really like this wall of fame of thing. That's very nice at how we celebrate our team members. And the next question is, how can QA teams balance the need for specialized expertise with the goal of maintaining a well-rounded and versatile team?
Uh, Good one. So there is a concept of generalist and also a specialist, right? So you can be good at a specific skill, let's say exploratory testing, for example, and you are specialized in that. So maybe the teams can actually start thinking like collecting those specialists under one umbrella, make it a domain. So we have a team like three people who were having the hats of exploratory domain experts. So whenever there is a need for defining an exploratory session, they were the people who drive the entire session, and create another one similar to that, right? So usability and user experience specialist. So they focus more on usability and user experience, and they drive sessions that is always related to user experience and usability. So collectively, you will have a team of specialists supporting each other to achieve a common goal, and that makes a versatile team. So you don't need one person to hold each and every hat with all the specialities. You need a group of people that is good at one thing or the other thing.
For this, even I remember, if you have read a lot of historical stories about noblemen having in kingdoms like that,
Yeah.
it's totally similar to that too. If you want to rule, if you want to win, then you should have different type of experts in your team.
Exactly.
I'll pick another question. This is also a great one. How can organization ensure that QA engineers and testers feel fulfilled in their roles, despite the often repetitive nature of testing tasks?
Uh, yes, we are usually the ones who goes through the repetitive task most of the times.
Yeah.
So uh, seeing it from a different perspective always helps actually. So let's say regression, for example. So regression is a recurring thing you will be doing with a similar set of test cases, and over time you will be get bored doing the same thing over and over again, right? So maybe evaluating, like taking a pause, evaluating how your regression suite used to look like early, and making some fussiness or randomizing some combinations into a new one would give you some sort of pleasure that something has changed within your regression itself. So it's a small thing that you all could relate with regression. It can happen for any other thing as well. So try to see things or make things to be seen as new, and make some small shift to make you feel like, okay, you are solving a different challenge at this point of time, right? And it's not individual's responsibility. You also need your leader to support you. So have a conversation during your one-on-ones or whenever you feel comfortable, and they will be helping you out in terms of having that challenge, or guiding you throughout how to tackle that specific challenge and start to see things in a newer perspective.
Yeah, exactly. You need to have that extra edge on your journey every day.
Yes.
Okay, even this is a very nice question again by Paul. So, what does health and wellness looks like in this age of disruption and volatility in the field of testing?
If your team is always motivated and always receptive to challenges, and also they always think, like, it's not we always think or ask them to go extra mile. When the team starts thinking they could go an extra mile, that is where health look like. So that is how health look like. So if your team is healthy, they will be always trying to find ways to strive themselves, and they will bring things to over to you, and you just need to be there as a guide or a coach playing from outside the field. You don't need to be even playing the game. So I would like to say health in that way, and wellness is all about, you just need to make sure your team members are having like a proper work life balance. So whenever you have all the conversations, don't directly go into work specifications. I usually start with asking them about themselves, what's going on, what's their like feelings, emotions, and how are things going around with them apart from work. And then eventually only we slowly navigate to the topic of work and anything related to career and all. So always try to have like a priority on your team members wellness and their emotional health. And when you start to care about them, they actually care about you and the team as well, and they become best in what they do.
Yeah, and that is how team members feel empathetic towards each other as well, I feel.
Yeah.
And that's how you grow. I really agree with this answer. And following this, we have another great question is this on this only. What is the best health matrix for QA?
I can say what is not the best health one. Don't measure your team's capability or productivity in terms of the number of bugs identified. That is the worst health metric you can keep for a team. uh, just measure their outcome in terms of how productive they are in terms of delivering something that brings outcomes in a wider group of teams, right? So if they are working on certain initiatives, how the initiative is giving an outcome for an external party. So putting it simple, we had a project where our marketing team was suffering with like 2000 pages, validating all the 2000 pages manually whenever they release something into production. So we decided to have a visual regression test automated, so that they don't need to go over manually every time. They just need to run the test, and the test will validate everything visually perfect or not. So the measure was not to implement a visual regression test. How much satisfied the marketing team was because we reduced their manual intervention to validate everything, to go over one by one for 2000 pages, which took nearly 1 day for them. So it's mostly about how you make someone else's life more happy or satisfied. And when you start to see the other team is solving some challenge because of the things you do, that is the best health metric we can have for QAs.
Okay, so we're running out of time now, but there's this one question that I really liked, and I would like to know your opinion on. So, yeah, how to manage a team with the person that creates negative atmosphere?
um Try to figure out or try to understand, have a conversation with that person, try to understand what makes them become more negative, and also bring that toxicity into the team, right? Initially try to set up something to fix that situation, help them to understand or see things in a different perspective. Try out for maybe 1 or 2 months, but then it comes a stage that you need to make a call, right? So if it is a person's attitude issue, or that person is creating a negative atmosphere for your entire team, then you need to make a call whether it's a people, like a person's problem, or it's your team's problem. So you need to understand whether it's that specific person's one or the entire team's one, and start making some adjustments. So if parting ways is the best decision you can make for the entire wider group of people, that would be the one you should be doing if that person is bringing toxicity into the team. So you need to know to find the balance.
Again, the communication is the key.
Exactly.
We've been popping up with some of the great questions, but we have to wind up. I so Nitin, it was a really interesting session. Honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I did. I think so did our attendees. That is why they're asking so many questions. So thank you so much, Nitin. And I also want to remind all the attendees that these are recorded and will be available and shared to you all over the email and on our Lambda Test YouTube channel. And so you can go back and listen to them again whenever you want to, or you can share with your peers. And also, this is an interesting one. If you have already shared your favorite moments from the session, you can and just go to social media, share your favorite moment within hashtag TestMuConf, and probably you can win some amazing giveaway prizes as well. Keep watching, have more fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.